The night was eerily silent in the village of Darawa. Thick fog slithered through the trees like restless spirits, blanketing the crooked paths and broken tombstones of the ancient graveyard. The villagers rarely stepped out after dusk, especially not near the cemetery that stood at the edge of the forest. Stories of strange whispers, vanishing shadows, and fresh footprints on old graves were common, but no one dared to investigate. Ayan, a young man in his 20s, had just returned to Darawa after nearly a decade. His father, the old gravedigger, had passed away suddenly, and Ayan had come to perform his final rites. The villagers greeted him with wary eyes. They spoke in hushed tones, warning him not to linger near the cemetery after dark. But Ayan had always been skeptical. Ghosts, curses, these were just tales to keep children in line, he thought. On the third night after his father's funeral, Ayan decided to visit the graveyard alone. The full moon illuminated the cracked pathway as he approached the caretaker's hut, where his father used to live. It was dusty and cobwebbed, but everything was just as his father had left it: tools neatly hung, a dusty lantern, and a journal resting on the old wooden table. He opened the journal, curious. It was filled with daily entries, burial dates, names, strange symbols. One phrase kept appearing: Zameen K. Nichkuch, Zindahai. Something is alive beneath the ground. A chill ran down Ayan's spine. Flipping further, he found a map of the graveyard, with a specific grave marked with a red X. It was the grave of a woman named Sophia, buried over a century ago at midnight. Ayan grabbed a lantern and shovel and went to the marked spot. The grave was oddly untouched, no overgrown weeds, no cracked stone. He hesitated, then began digging. Hours passed. The soil grew harder, colder. The lantern flickered. Then thunk, his shovel hit something solid. It wasn't a coffin, it was a trapdoor, rusty iron with ancient carvings, half swallowed by the earth. Ayan hesitated. Against every instinct, he pried it open. A wave of icy air shot up from below. He climbed down a rusted ladder deeper into the earth until he reached a narrow tunnel. The walls were lined with bone skulls embedded in the dirt, some still bearing shreds of hair. Strange symbols glowed faintly as he walked deeper. At the end of the tunnel was a stone chamber. In its center lay a giant sarcophagus, chained shut. Ayan stepped closer. Suddenly, the chamber door slammed shut behind him. The chains rattled. Whispers echoed in the air, not in any language he understood. His lantern dimmed, then died. A pale glow emerged from the sarcophagus, and then it moved. The lid began to slide open on its own. Inside was not a corpse, but a living woman. Her eyes pitch black, skin like dried clay, hair floating unnaturally around her head. She opened her mouth, and Ayan heard his name not with his ears, but inside his mind. Tom A. Gay, Ayan, terrified. He turned to run, but the chamber began to shift. The bones in the walls moved, forming faces, some screaming, some laughing, some whispering prayers in long dead tongues. Sophia floated out of the sarcophagus, her limbs twisting unnaturally. She was the first of many. More figures began crawling out from cracks in the floor, eyes glowing, silent and hungry. Ayan screamed, but the grave above had long since closed. No one ever saw Ayan again. His journal was found weeks later, lying open on the caretaker's table, its final line scrawled in blood. Beneath the grave, death is only the beginning.